Hi class, Mr. Young here. Since I'm writing a paper on George Washington, maybe I should wear my George Washington hat. Alright, so we've been talking about our research paper here. We've gone over the whole paper in overview, our research and works cited, and introductions. Today we're going to talk about paragraphs. So we're supposed to have 3 body paragraphs in our research paper. And we talked about how our thesis statement will outline what our 3 body paragraphs are going to be about. So we already wrote our intro. George Washington is known throughout schoolrooms as the United States' first president, but he was so much more than that. George Washington was not only America's first president, that's body paragraph 1, but a warrior, body paragraph 2, and a successful businessman, body paragraph 3. So I know what each paragraph is going to be about. In my example here, I have them sort of headed, but it won't look like that in your actual paper. It'll just be content. So I'm not going to sit here and write, 3 paragraphs and have you watch, but the important part is that you kind of have an idea of what each body paragraph is going to be about, and then you write a paragraph about that. So I know, all right, all my notes I have on what it was like when George Washington was president. So I might talk about his election. I might talk about his policies. I might talk about the precedents he set. For example, he was only president for 2 terms, not because there were rules for that. He just figured 8 years was enough, and then as a result, the following president said, well, Washington did 2 terms, so I'm going to do 2 terms as well, and then call it quits. All that is stuff I could talk about in my body paragraph. Remember, a paragraph we're going to say is about 4 sentences or more. Now we're going to talk about Washington the Warrior. I'm going to take a look at all my notes and all my research about him as, maybe battles he fought in the French and Indian War, and he was the commander of the Continental Army, and then maybe I go real crazy talking about the Whiskey Rebellion, things like that. I could easily write a paragraph about those things. And then the businessman, this one's a little less known, but I would look at my research as what kind of business he did on his plantation down there by D.C. What was his home called again? Let's take a look. We'll look it up. What was Washington's plantation called? Because he was a plantation owner. He had slaves. He was a slave owner. Mount Vernon, that's it. Been there. Cool place. So we would write about that whole paragraph on, he owned a plantation at Mount Vernon, and he grew crops and sold the crops, and he also made beer, I think. He had a still, and anything he did like that. And that would be my 3 body paragraphs. We go president, warrior, businessman. So I might say George Washington is famous as the first president of the United States. He was elected in blah blah blah. He won unanimously. His policies included this, and this. And then that's it's your information. It's the real meat of the paper, your information. So the big thing here is just remember that 3 things you said in your thesis statement, that is what your body paragraphs should be about. 4 more sentences, please. And that's maybe the hardest part of the paper. We'll talk about conclusions in the next video, and then then you're almost done. So we'll get on that, and I'll have a little video on making sure your paper is perfect, doing your grammar and proofreading. We'll do that on submission day, so you can double check your paper before you turn it in. Don't get docked any points for silly things like punctuation and capitalization. That's it for today. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, have a good one, all right?